Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
And today we're tackling something I think a lot of folks find really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I know I always get a lot of questions about this,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's the Amish.
Yeah, they're fascinating.
Right. So fascinating. And obviously, this is a topic we could talk about forever.
Oh, yeah.
But in this deep dive, we're going to be taking a look at Amish beliefs and practices
Okay.
and how those compare and contrast with broader Christianity.
That's a great place to start because I think there are a lot of misconceptions floating around out there, definitely.
So let's just get right into it then.
Okay, sounds good.
So I guess my first question for you is, where do the Amish actually fit in the big picture of Christianity?
Well, to put it simply, they're Anabaptists,
Okay.
which
Good.
basically means they came out of the Protestant Reformation
Okay.
back in the 16th
Oh,
century.
you got it.
So, back then everyone was questioning the Catholic Church and
Right.
breaking away and starting new denominations and all that.
Like Martin Luther and
Exactly.
John Calvin.
Exactly. All those guys. So the Anabaptists were part of that whole movement, but they had some pretty unique ideas
Right.
that made them stand out from the other reformers.
So what were some of those ideas?
Well, the biggest one was their belief in adult baptism.
Okay.
They didn't think babies should be baptized.
Interesting.
They felt it should be a conscious choice
Right.
made by adults who fully understood what it meant.
So it's about like really owning your faith.
Exactly. It wasn't something that was just done to you
Yeah.
as a baby.
Okay.
They also believed in separation from the world,
Okay.
like really separating themselves.
So that's where we get the, the plain dress.
Yeah, the plain clothes.
And the limited use of technology.
Exactly. They wanted to avoid anything that could distract them from their faith.
So it's not just about like a visual aesthetic.
No, not at all.
It's like deeper than that.
It's a whole way of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've also heard that community is a huge part of Amish life.
Oh, absolutely.
Like everything revolves around the community.
Yeah, it's really central to their whole belief system.
So how does that actually play out in their everyday lives?
Well, for one thing, they make decisions collectively.
Okay.
So, like, if a family needs to build a barn,
Yeah.
the whole community comes together to help.
Wow.
They also share resources
Okay.
and support each other financially.
So it's like a true safety net.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of community, I think we have to talk about Rumspringa.
Oh, yeah, that's a fascinating part of their culture.
Right. Because I feel like it almost seems to contradict their emphasis on
It does seem that way.
separation from the world.
Yeah, you'd think they'd want to keep their kids
Right.
sheltered.
Yeah.
But Rumspringa is all about giving young people a chance to experience the outside world
Right.
before they commit to the Amish way of life.
So it's like a period of exploration
Exactly.
where they can kind of decide for themselves.
They get to see what it's like out there. And then they come back to the community and decide if they want to be baptized.
And join the church.
Right.
That's so interesting. And I know another thing people are always curious about is the Amish and technology.
Right.
Like, how do they decide what technology to use and what to avoid?
Well, it's not as simple as just saying they're anti-technology.
Right.
They actually have a very thoughtful approach.
Okay.
They weigh the pros and cons,
Mm-hmm.
and they ask themselves if a particular technology will benefit their community
Okay.
or if it will harm their values.
So it's not just about rejecting technology for technology's sake.
No.
It's about being intentional.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess the big question then is, what can we learn from the Amish?
That's a good question.
I mean, they live such a different life.
They do.
But I feel like there are definitely some lessons we can take away from their experience.
Oh, definitely. I think one of the biggest things is the importance of community.
Okay.
Like we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
they really value their community and they support each other in ways that we've kind of lost
Right.
in modern society.
Yeah.
I also think they have a lot to teach us about simplicity
Okay.
and living intentionally.
Right.
They're very careful
Yeah.
about what they allow into their lives.
And we're also bombarded with information and technology these days
Yeah.
that it can be hard to just slow down
Yeah.
and focus on what really matters.
Exactly.
But the Amish seem to have figured that out. And I think that's something we can all learn from.
I agree. Even if we don't necessarily want to adopt their entire lifestyle,
Yeah.
I think there are definitely pieces
Oh,
we
sure.
can take
Yeah.
and apply to our own lives.
Well, maybe it's not about, giving up all technology and living in a horse and buggy, but it's about finding ways to simplify and be more intentional with our time and our energy.
And with the things we choose to surround ourselves with.
That's a great point. Well, this has been such a fascinating conversation. I always learn so much from you. But unfortunately, we're out of time for today.
Okay.
But hopefully this deep dive has given everyone a better understanding
I hope so.
of the Amish and their unique way of life. And maybe it's even given you some things to think about
Yeah.
in terms of your own life and your own values. So until next time, happy deep diving.